Hi, my name is Garrett Glass. I am a senior at Liberty University in the Exercise Science program. And the purpose of this video today is I am going to show you how to bench press. That being said, I'm not just going to show you how to bench press, I'm going to show you 5 of the proper warm-ups you should be doing for the bench press. I'm going to show you how to safely and properly perform the bench press. And finally, I'm going to show you a few of my favorite accessory movements that you can do to really improve your bench press even when you're not bench pressing. So the bench press is one of the most popular exercises in really any gym setting. Sports teams all over the world use the bench press to help their athletes really develop upper body strength and upper body power. Bodybuilders use the bench press very often to help build size and muscle mass on their chest as well as their triceps and the front of their shoulders. The bench press is also one of the 3 core main lifts in the sport of powerlifting. But the bench press can also be a very valuable tool for you to use even if you aren't a professional athlete. Upper body strength is honestly one of the most important key elements if you desire to be an overall well-rounded athlete. So the bench press is not as simple as just lying down on a bench and just pushing up some weight. That's a good way to really tear your shoulder, tear your rotator cuff. So we'll want to make sure that we're actually properly warmed up before we decide to lie down on the bench and push up some weight. You'll want to make sure that you have good stability in your shoulders so that your arms aren't shaking when you're trying to bench. You want to make sure that you have good shoulder mobility. You want to make sure you have loose rotator cuffs because the last thing you want is a torn rotator cuff. And you also want to make sure to have proper abdominal tightness and bracing as well as loose hip flexors so that when you push into the floor, you'll have good leg drive to generate from your legs, from the floor, to your legs, to your abdomen, up to your chest, and your arms and shoulders moving the weight. So here are 5 of my favorite warm-up exercises when it comes to the bench press. First, to really help with good shoulder stability, you'll want to do the Turkish get-up, either weighted or unweighted. That's really your preference and where you are at. So just make sure you have a packed shoulder, go down and up from the floor to the standing position, each arm, 5 reps, each side. Secondly, you'll want to have good shoulder mobility. So this is a pretty simple exercise. You'll want to do complete shoulder circumduction all the way around, 10 reps on each arm. Third, you want to have loose rotator cuffs to make sure that you don't hurt yourself when you go down that bottom motion. So what you can do is you can grab a band, go around a pole with an elastic band and just do simple face pulls while holding the elastic. Just pull towards your face like this, get some good external rotation at the end of the movement. Do 2 sets of 10 reps and you should be good as far as your rotator cuffs. Next is just a very simple abdominal plank that you'd see anyone at the gym doing. So basically all you're gonna do is get on the ground, do a plank, hold it for 45 seconds, really squeeze your abs and make sure you brace properly. Finally, for your hip flexors, just get into a half kneeling position, have one of those legs forward, really squeeze your glutes of your back leg and lean forward so you can stretch out your hip flexors so you can make sure to have good leg drive. Do 3 sets of 15 seconds for each leg. So those are 5 of my favorite exercises for warming up. Now let's get to the bench. All right, so now we get to the fun part of the video of actually performing the bench press. So when setting up for the bench press, I like to personally set up from the ground up. So you'll want to have your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart and make sure that you don't just have your toes up, you don't have your feet sticking in the air, you have your feet flat against the ground so you can get good leg drive. Secondly, when you sit down on the bench, make sure that that butt stays on the bench. And thirdly, I'll show you from the side here, before you actually lay down, make sure to have your scapula retracted so you're engaging your chest as much as possible. Then finally, when you lay down and before you actually start to perform the bench, make sure your abs are nice and tight. So, quick review. We got our feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart, feet flat on the ground, pushing against the ground, glutes tight, abs tight. Your shoulders are down and back. Now you're ready to actually lift. So I personally like to, this is a lot of preference, I personally like to place my pinkies on the smooth ring on the outside. So do a typical grip like you would grip anything with your fingers first and then your thumb. Grab it, make sure your shoulders are tight, and just lift up. And then when you're going down to bench, bring that bar down in a straight line right to below your nipple, and then straight up. Make sure you have a straight bar path. That seems nice and simple, right? But there are a few common mistakes that can come with actually doing the bench press. For instance, a lot of people, if they have weak wrists, as soon as they start benching, they will have their wrists bent back like this, and that's not a good position. You want to make sure that your wrists are nice and stable, going straight to the roof. So imagine yourself punching the roof. Secondly, a really big mistake that a lot of people make is benching too high on their chest. So like I said, you'll want the bar to be in a straight line coming down to around your nipple level or slightly below, and then you want to push back up in a straight line. A lot of people make the mistake of benching too high, and that places a lot of stress on your shoulder. And if you feel like your shoulders start to flare out, which is another big mistake, you do not want your shoulders to flare out. You want your shoulders at a nice 45-degree angle. And if you have a problem with that, a good way to counteract that is focus on breaking the bar. So if you flare out like this, focus on snapping that bar like this, and you'll immediately feel your arms go into that 45-degree angle. So remember, bench at or below the nipple, punch the ceiling, and then break the bar. So those are some of the common mistakes that come along with bench pressing, and those are the verbal cues that you can think of. Just remember, punch the ceiling, bench the nipple, break the bar. And lastly, but not least, do not let your butt leave this bench. So make sure you keep your glutes tight, push those feet into the floor, have a tight abdomen, push up, you'll be doing a perfect bench press. What are a few exercises that you can do outside of the bench press to help you with the lift, even when you're not benching? So the first one I have is you can do a dumbbell bench press, which is essentially the exact same thing as bench press, except with dumbbells, obviously. The point of this is to work on your chest, shoulder, and tricep strength, as well as work on stability. Because if you don't want to be shaking the entire time you're benching, but if you do it with dumbbells, you're really going to train your body to be stable when you're going down and up in that motion. So when you come back to the bench press, you're going to kill it. Secondly, overhead press, which is just a shoulder press with either a barbell or dumbbell, whatever you want to do, which will really help with not only shoulder stability, but it will help with building up your shoulders and building your shoulder strength. Because when you're benching, you're not just working your chest. You're working your chest, you're working your anterior deltoids, which are the front part of your shoulders. You're also working your triceps. So we are building up our chest with the dumbbell bench. We're building up our shoulders with the overhead press. Third, you can build up your triceps, the back of your arms, with tricep dips. Essentially, you can have a bench behind you, you can have a tricep dip station, just down and up, and just extend your triceps. You can, even if that gets too easy, load some weight on, make it harder, you're gonna get crazy strong triceps. So those are 3 exercises to help you, and there's 2 more exercises that you can do with the bench press just to make it harder. Say if you have a problem with a certain part of the lift. So, if you get the bar off your chest nice and easy, but you have a hard time really locking it out at the end on the bench, what you can do is you can use a board to put on your chest, like a 2 or 3 inch board. So when you bring the bench down, it hits that board before it hits your chest. Then you just work on locking it out every single time. Another one you can do is, say you got the lockout easy, no problem, but the bottom part's an issue for you. It's slow off your chest. You can work with pause reps, which essentially, you take the bar, bring it down to your chest, hold it for a second, make sure you don't have any stretch reflex in your muscles, hold it, and just push up with all your strength. Remember what I said? Don't let your butt leave the bench though, because that doesn't count. So, you got 3 exercises to help with the bench, 2 exercises to help with certain parts of the lift. You do those, keep working on your bench, you're gonna get nice and strong. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.